On the surface, many players believe Wuthering Waves is merely a Genshin Impact clone. However, after investing a few mere hours into the game, you'll quickly learn that it sets itself apart quite distinctly. Wuthering Waves shares some similarities that might feel familiar, making the transition between games much easier for you. A large, seamlessly accessible open world, action combat, numerous characters to swap between, a gacha system, but at its core, Wuthering Waves is very much so its own entity. And today, I'm gonna go over every single thing you need to know to begin your journey on Solaris-3 correctly. Before jumping in, I do want to give credit to Pridewin here. They have some absolutely incredible guides over there for dozens of games, including Wuthering Waves, that'll no doubt be of significant benefit to everyone. I'll even be using part of their guides in this guide and future guides I make in an effort to bring you the most secure, most concrete information possible. I'd also like to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon and YouTube members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are all the best, and I cannot thank you all enough for the support. Wuthering Waves is an open world RPG. It features what is arguably the best action combat in the genre, perhaps only rivaled by Punishing Grey Raven. Both games are developed and published globally by Kudo Game, who have an extensive history of being passionate, generous, and dedicated to their players. It has a deep narrative, solid voice acting, a plethora of different game modes to retain player attention, and complete freedom. It also has the Disco Turtle, the uncontested best part of the entire game.
Hey Chenby, how are you doing? My name's... Yeah! Chad, this is how you pick up girls in a gacha game.
The Epic Games Store released the system requirements for the PC platform, and honestly, they're nothing ridiculous. A 2060 is recommended, 30GB storage, and i7. Mobile requirements aren't bad either. Android 7, iPhone 11. Supported voice languages are going to be Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and English, typical for a gacha release, with English both simplified and traditional Chinese, Japanese, Korean, French, German, and Spanish text languages. Solaris-3, also known as Sol 3, is a world of chaos and change where mankind struggles to survive in a new era of destruction and rebirth. Players will be able to freely explore the large world of Solaris-3, which is populated with numerous different towns and cities, NPCs wandering the wilderness, both docile and aggressive. Some NPCs will give players quests, others will engage you. There are treasure chests to locate, some of which require the completion of puzzles to successfully unlock. There are what is essentially the equivalent of a Sealy in Genshin Impact, enormous open world bosses to fight that reward you with materials that will be integral to your progression as a rover. While there is a surplus of activities to consume in the open world, navigating it has never been easier. You can climb, glide, typical methods that seem to be more and more common in gacha games these days. Where Wuthering Waves shines is the rover's ability to rapidly grapple large distances, both vertically and horizontally, and sprint up walls. This makes traversal smooth, fluid, and effortless. Wuthering Waves features full action combat that many players compare to Punishing Grey Raven. When out in the field, players will be able to create a team of 3 playable characters, taking direct control of one character at a time. You'll be able to switch characters at will by clicking the number associated with their position towards the right of your screen. Every character has their own weapon and combat style. Players will do normal attacks by clicking the attack button and follow up with successive attacks performing combos. Holding your attack button initiates a heavy attack. Players are capable of dodging, which requires stamina to perform. Each character also features their own distinct ultimate ability or Resonator skill that you can use after filling the resource bar, allowing them to deal significant damage or healing or whatever other unique effect is associated with the ability. Wuthering Waves employs a perfect dodge and parry system. When a large circular glow appears around an enemy, players can parry if timed correctly, staggering the enemy, allowing players to deal additional damage. Alternatively, you could instead perform a perfect dodge, avoiding all damage and leaving the enemy wide open for attack. While engaged in combat, you might see the little character icons gain a little wave effect around them. This is an indicator that you can use their Concerto skill. Swapping to the character will unleash a special ability specific to that character, typically dealing mass damage. Echoes are also imperative in combat, but we'll cover those separately. Echoes are an important part of building your Resonators the right way. Echoes function as an additional type of gear, providing numerous beneficial effects. A comparison could be made to Genshin Impact's artifact system for those of you that need it. Every echo has a specific cost ranging from 1 to 4. Every resonator has a limit on their total echo cost of 10, meaning you need to be very careful what you equip. Each echo has their own distinct rarity: common, elite, overlord, and calamity, similar to something like an R, SR, SSR, and UR rarity scale. Your first equipped echo grants you a special ability, usable out in the field. The other 4 provide you with special effects and base statistical increases. Players can farm echoes out in the world. You obtain them through defeating enemies, both normal enemies and special bosses. This makes it much easier to farm your best in slot without real limitation, but can also become quite tedious and arduous over time. Since every resonator can equip 5 echoes and every first echo provides an additional ability, that means every resonator possesses an additional ability that can change merely by equipping a different echo, potentially allowing resonators to fill different roles if and where necessary. Speaking of resonators, Wuthering Waves allows for players to obtain characters referred to as resonators. These are all playable units in-game. Every resonator has their own weapon, providing them with their own unique combat style and element. At the time of this video, there are 6 elements present in-game: Arrow, Electro, Fusion, Glacio, Havoc, and Spectro, along with 5 weapon types: Broadblade, Gauntlets, Pistols, Rectifier, and Sword. As noted in the combat section of this guide, every resonator has their own basic attack, resonance skill, resonance liberation. You can perform this after accumulating enough resonance energy, through attacking enemies with your resonance skill, or when a concerto effect is triggered, and Forte circuit. Every resonator has their own level, separate from the player's individual union level. Resonators will require echoes, weapons, and level ups to increase in power. The max level currently is 90, with the resonators increasing in power as they continue to level. Once reaching a certain level, resonators will be required to ascend to progress further. This is done via the acquisition of materials and boss challenges. Fortes function as a deeper, more complex skill tree system, allowing you to unlock and upgrade your resonator, further boosting their power. Resonance Chain is another way of increasing the power of your resonator by using duplicate copies acquired via the Gacha system, which we'll touch on shortly. Right now, there seem to be a total of 17 different characters ranging from 4-star to 5-star. These were the characters that were available in the second closed beta test. The majority of resonators obtained in-game are going to be acquired through the Gacha system. To use the Gacha system, you'll be required to spend either Astrite, the game's in-game premium currency, or Tides, Lustrous, Radiant, or Forging. There are several banners at launch, including the Novice banner called Utterance of Marvels. You're guaranteed a 4-star or higher rarity item for every 10 pull, with a guaranteed 5-star resonator after 50 total pulls. The only available resonators from the Novice banner are Verena, Encore, Kalkara, Lingyang, and Jianshin. All banners allow for the acquisition of resonators or weapons with chances of 4-star resonators or weapons at 6% and 5 stars at 0.8%. Pity, the point where you are guaranteed a 5-star, is at 80 total pulls. The limited character banner has the same rates as the normal banner. However, upon 80 pulls, you're given a 50% chance of obtaining the limited character, with a 100% guarantee after failing the 50-50 and reaching the 80 total pulls a second time. Meaning, at your unluckiest, you'll only ever require 160 pulls for a guaranteed limited character. Rerolling in Wuthering Waves likely isn't worth the time investment. It's possible to do, but largely not beneficial due to the time it takes to unlock the Gacha system, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast you are, and it takes even longer to obtain enough currency for the guaranteed 5-star character. I would advise against it for a number of different reasons, which I'll elaborate on in my dedicated rerolling guide, but suffice it to say, it's not worth it, especially given you'll likely find yourself falling behind. Since we briefly touched on the Union level, I thought it was a good idea to elaborate a little on what purpose it serves. The Union level is your individual account level, separate from all characters including the Rover. You obtain Union XP from almost everything you do in-game, engaging in missions, instance content that requires the expenditure of your stamina. You'll often be acquiring XP without even realizing it. Your Union level affects the world itself, allowing players to essentially upgrade the world level and difficulty of monsters found within it. It also directly affects the maximum level your resonators are capable of attaining. Outside of exploring and fighting powerful monsters, players will be running quests. There are several quest types: main quests that you're required to complete to further progress the story, companion quests that are specific to certain Resonators. These provide you with a look into the character's past and personality, side quests you can safely ignore however long you want without any significant repercussions, exploration quests, and daily quests. While you could spend hours, days, weeks just exploring everything the World of Solaris-3 has to offer, looting every chest, overcoming every puzzle, there's a lot more to the game than that. There are plenty of instance dungeons to run and fields to farm resources, all of which require stamina to acquire the rewards. Beginning with the Forgery Challenge, which allows you to farm materials to upgrade your weapons, Simulation Field, which allows you to farm materials to level up your Resonators, weapons, and more, Boss Challenge, which allows you to farm Resonator Ascension materials, the Tacit Field Cleanup, which allows you to farm materials for your Echoes in the weekly challenge, the Rewards Forte upgrade materials, weapon, and Echo XP materials. There is the Tower of Adversity, which functions as a type of endgame content for players, and is what you're typically going to want to formulate your team around. It is unlocked after completing a certain amount of the main story and upon reaching a specific union level. The tower consists of several different zones, each with their own respective challenges and enemies. If you've played the current Genshin endgame, you'll likely still have PTSD from the Spiral Abyss. There are also confirmed to be additional game modes, although temporary, that will cycle through rotation. Trophies are obtained through the completion of certain tasks, rewarding players with Astrite. Like all Gacha games, Wuthering Waves features a battle pass called the Pioneer Podcast. There are both free and premium versions unlockable with a real money purchase. And that is everything I believe you need to know to effectively begin your journey in Wuthering Waves in Solaris-3. If you're looking for other guides or other Gacha games to play because Wuthering Waves is of no interest to you, or you're bored playing it, consider clicking one of the videos on screen right now.